Everybody, please welcome Kaley Shannon to the show.
Thanks for having me. This is great.
Yeah, we just kind of intro in the middle of all that.
Yeah, exactly. Welcome. Sorry to interrupt everybody.
Yeah,
Here we go.
Kaley is an awesome writer, right? So
Sure.
You write for TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
And you created a cool program called F It Fridays. I love it.
Yeah, kind of.
I worked in finances.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what else?
Yeah, I think my career journey has been like trying on different outfits every year where I'm like, I don't know if I really like this, or I wonder if this is going to stick, or I don't know if this is like fast fashion or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really wanted to do ministry forever. Thinking that's where God was really calling me. And then slowly but surely, he's kind of redefining to me what ministry looks like.
Yeah.
And as you've talked on the podcast with a bunch of other incredible, grounded, healed people, ministry's starting to look a lot different. It's looking a lot different than like the four walls of the church, right? So anyway, I had to go on that process and that journey myself. So wanted to do ministry. The Lord's like, we're going to start to do ministry outside of the church. And I'm like, okay. I was a writing assistant on a TV show.
Wow.
And yes, I was in, I got the job, a kind of crazy LA story. I was working at a restaurant called Republique. And if you haven't been there, it's freaking so good.
Wow.
Like the best pastries in all of Los Angeles, California.
Okay.
It's amazing.
We'll
You got it. Okay. It's like a non-negotiable.
What's it called?
A Republique in Miracle Mile.
Shout out to a Republique.
Yeah, that's correct. The Manskys are the best. They're the chefs of the restaurant.
Okay.
Just go. Okay. Anything that they do is golden. So I was working at the restaurant, slinging pastries, wearing my little apron, trying to make it, trying to survive in Los Angeles. And one of my regulars came in and she ordered the same thing every week, every Tuesday. It was like a hot latte and a sliced sourdough bread. And she was like, hey, I think you're funny. You should work for me. And I was trying to break into ministry, right? Whatever that means. And I was like, no, entertainment, not my thing. I'll die out there. There's just no way. And I'm good. I'll be a youth pastor somewhere. I'm cool. I really am okay. And she's like, you should really work for me. And my boss at the time pulled me aside and she's like, do you know who that is? And I was like, no, not at all. And she was like, that is so-and-so. Her TV show just got picked up and you need to say yes to whatever she wants you to do.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, sounds good. So she offered me 3 jobs: personal assistant, production assistant, and writing assistant. And my brother, who's like loosely in entertainment, I called him, sent him over the things. I was like, I don't know what any of these things mean. He was like, you need to take the writing assistant job like immediately.
Wow.
And I had no idea, but I like really skipped ahead on like typically like an 8 to 10 year process to like get into the writer's room and sit at the table with these professional television writers, producers, showrunners. And I would take notes like I was in a college campus class with like 8 professors at the same time. And then they would take our notes and then they would turn it into a script outside of the room. But it was dope and it was so fascinating and I learned a lot and I walked away thinking not into entertainment. Don't want to do this ever again, man.
Yeah.
It was tough. It was really, I felt like I saw a lot of the shark manipulation and like the tough, I mean, it's just your classic, everything you hear about the industry sometimes and then you're in it and it just kind of throws you for a loop. So learned a lot, was there, was like, yeah, tried it out. Totally cool. Not for me anymore. I'm good, God. Let's do something safe and secure with a good paycheck maybe. And so my finance job popped up and I have been in financial planning for I think 4 years now, which was pretty dope. Went back to school during the pandemic to do it.
What do you think about the economy state we're in now?
That's what I think about it. It's
you think it's gonna be a poop storm, as they call it?
That's what I'm hearing on the street. That's the word on the street. But really, I loved getting like kind of a front row seat to learning about the world while it was like shutting down during the pandemic. And so we were in stocks and trading and just making sure that people didn't lose everything that they had
diversifying.
Said. Right. Yeah, exactly. And I worked with a lot of guys who are older, Midwestern, really into gold and just like secure
gold and silver.
They're just like, it's
the way to go right now.
I kind of agree. I totally do. And so, it was a fascinating ride, but I had a lot to learn. I didn't really know what I was doing when I first started and did a lot of bookkeeping, accounting. Yeah. And then I learned that finances and financial literacy really help people. And so I was like, I just want to help people, man. Yeah. I just really do. So
make a difference.
Yeah, I just want to make some kind of difference somewhere, anytime, at any chance I could get. And so tried that with ministry, tried that in entertainment. And I was like, I like Excel. So like, I guess I'll just keep typing in formulas to help people and we'll serve Jesus this way.
Wow.
So I went back to school during the pandemic. Went to Pepperdine to get my financial planning
Pepperdine.
degree.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have a few
did
friends
it online. There. Yeah, it was awesome. And again, learned a ton. Then the Lord called me right back out and threw me into entertainment again. So here we are, trying on another outfit.
Thought you gonna get away, Kate.
He really did. I almost broke free, but he's like, nah, we got more for you. So it's been crazy.
Yeah. So and then now you fast forward to now you're working on a project of your own.
Yes, sir. So my roommate, actually, so I live with 7 girls, and similar to your housing experience, the Astor house.
Yeah, that when you brought that up, I was like, what the heck?
He's like, he knows what it's like to have a refrigerator with about this much space to like house 3 eggs.
Your section. So you get this sliver.
Here you go.
Don't go over that space, because it might get eaten.
I'm dead. Anything over the space is definitely being eaten by other people.
Oh, was that your pastrami? I thought that was mine.
Correct. That's me every day. Literally, we just had a very long conversation, a full weekend on like, we had 2 new roommates, just roommates. We were divvying up all of the storage space and like, here's what, oh my God. So so I have 7 roommates, and it was a blast to go through the pandemic in a really scary and traumatic time for a lot of people in the world. I just got to do it with 7 people who I love and called my best friends. And I like, seriously breaks my heart thinking about the people that did that by themselves. Because like mental health is already challenging enough for like normal coming of age.
Yeah.
Bruh. Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah.
No. Crazy. Yeah. So I was really blessed to get to do that with my 7 roommates. And then we have a house of 5 guys at some point, maybe 4 guys next door. All love Jesus. We all love Jesus, all in different ministries and all doing different jobs. And then the Culver house is down the street, like a house of 10 dudes.
That's cool. Yeah.
So we had quite the quarantine crew and quite the COVID scare.
It was like a big community you guys had going on.
It was like not sanctioned for sure. Yeah. We tried so hard. But it was really tough. It was really tough to like keep everybody safe. And so I don't know why. So my roommate during the pandemic, her name's Amanda, she started doing this thing called F It Fridays. Every Friday, she would just like rally us to do something and like shoot for the moon with a crazy thing to further our careers. So we're all locked in this pandemic. We have no idea what's going to go on. So we're just like, F it. Let's just like do something crazy and see if it sticks. Yeah. I was really struggling with my mental health at the time. Like a lot of people were. Yeah. Anxiety, depression. So at that point I was like, man, I got nothing left to lose. Yeah. And so cool. Let's just start shooting our shot. Yeah. So my first F It Friday was in March of 2022. So deep into the pandemic. Last year. I DM'd my favorite TV show star. His name's Phil Rosenthal. Okay. He has hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram, right? Yeah. I do not. There's no reason that this man should have even seen it come into his inbox, I guess, or whatever it is. And I just said, hey, you're never going to see this, and that's totally cool. My name is Kaley. Your show is hilarious. You crack me up, and you bring joy to people. And, like, I want to know how you get paid to do that, because I want to do something similar. Yeah. And he gets back to me like 10 10 hours later, it's the next day. And he's like, great, meet me here at this time. So I was like, shut up. What do I do now? I call my therapist. I'm like, Dr. Neal, like, what do we do? He wants to go? Is he crazy? Why is this happening? Call all my roommates. They're like, you gotta go.
Yeah.
And so, we met at Republique, where my first job was.
Yeah.
One of his favorite restaurants in the city. And also caveat, I had met him like 3 years prior because he was a regular at the restaurant.
Okay.
And so I was decorating cookies one Christmas time, and he was like, you make these great little cookies. And I don't bake at all. I just got to decorate them for fun.
Yeah.
So he remembered me from my baking time, I guess, which was so crazy. He's a really smart dude, has a lot going on in his brain, and like keeps it all very... He's got a great brain.
Yeah.
So
he's got a brilliant mind.
Okay. So we go to Republique. We're standing in the line to order, and I was like, dude, why are you going out to coffee with a stranger? Like, just be real with me. And he was like, if he's the kindest human being. He says, if my son were to reach out to somebody else in this industry, I would want them to meet with a safe and generous person, you know, like I would want them to have like this kind of ask me anything about the industry and like let me help because it's a lot to navigate, you know, which it is. There's a lot of crazy people out here. And so, and a lot of dangerous people. And so I was just like, cool. Sounds good. So
thank you that you're safe, sir.
Yeah, I really appreciate you. You give off safe vibes. So praise God. But I also didn't even intro him. He has a television show on Netflix called Somebody Feed Phil.
Okay.
He goes all around the world and eats all these crazy foods and like meets all these different chefs. And really just like champions the people that he's with. Yeah. And it brings so much joy. He's like Anthony Bourdain, but if you were afraid of everything. It's hilarious. Like it's so funny and he's so cute and he's such a family person. It's just amazing. Everybody should watch it. It's great.
And he was the writer of, you said Star?
Yes. He created the TV show Everybody Loves Raymond.
Oh, Everybody Loves Raymond.
He's got this like crazy track record. Yes. Okay. And then now he's the star of this show.
He's the star. Okay, gotcha.
He has so many words. Yeah. Somebody Feed Phil. Star of it. Everybody Loves Raymond. Creator of it.
Okay, that's so cool. Yeah, Everybody Loves Raymond is one of my favorite shows.
Really?
Yeah, I love that.
Dude, he's literally remarkable. Yeah. So we have this great coffee and I get to pick his brain about his whole life. And I'm in a place in my 20s where I'm just like, dude, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I thought I knew where God was calling me. I thought I knew what my life was going to look like. I thought I had it all figured out moving out to LA. Yeah. And then I have now no clue. And I feel a little deceived. Okay. I feel a little deceived, not just by God, but like I was in a place where our generation, we grew up believing like, everybody gets a prize. Everybody is special. You're going to change the world. And I had been in so many prophetic circles for so long that was like, arenas over your life and you're going to speak it. And I'm just like, man, what if I didn't realize. Yeah. But people were saying thousands of people you're going to impact and you're going to lead worship for the nations, you know? And what if like, in God's understanding of it, every encounter that I have with the person in front of me adds up to thousands at the end of my life. Like, am I still going to be valuable to the Lord, you know? So anyway, that plays to a lot of other stuff. But I was feeling really confused, really scared. Like, I'm just trying to survive and make it to my 30s. I don't know how you get to a place like Phil where you're doing what you were created to do and you actually love it. I'm like, tell me everything. Yeah. And you didn't have to sacrifice your mental health to get there. And you didn't have to like sacrifice your relationships to get there. Like,
what did he say about that?
He was so kind. He was basically like, your 20s are like a washing machine and you're just getting tousled around and like just completely drenched. And then eventually around your 30s, you're going to get spit out and you'll land somewhere that you can like really feel grounded in and begin to build. So I'm like, dude, I am believing you for that right now because I don't know how real that is, but it's bringing me a lot of hope. But really the thing that brought me the most hope was how much he laughed at like my 20s experience. Cause like I deal with a lot of my anxiety in humor. And I just kept saying, I was sharing my story. I live with 7 girls and there's these house of 10 guys. And he's like, you need a television show. Yeah. And I was like, bro, I've fallen for people like you before, especially in this city. Like, no, thank you. Yeah. Not doing it again. Right. Yeah. No. But he was like, I really think you're funny. You need to write your own ticket into Hollywood. Shoot a show. Do it. And I was just like, what are you saying? But I saw something in his eyes that like really convinced me, like, I think this could be God. And if that's true, I'm going to be so mad. I'm like, if you put me, nah, bro, I just got stable in finance. Like I just got the paycheck. Don't make me go anywhere. My stability. I'm like, I can't do it. I can't. There was so much like hope deferred along this process of inner healing that I was like, I'm okay with just believing Jesus is who he says he is. And like, I'm just going to stay right here. He's the Son of God on my Excel. I'm going to bless people by like making sure they don't lose a ton of money all the time and that their mortgages are like secure or their kids can go to college. Like this is fine. And God's like, I have more for you. And it was scary to believe that again. It was so scary. And I was just like, no. So I didn't. And I just totally ignored Phil's advice entirely. And I was like, I am not doing that. Oh, okay. But it was still such a great coffee. And then his wife joined and some other friends of his, producer friends, all joined for lunch after. He like bought my lunch, which was so nice. Wow. And we were all just sitting around this table talking about how crazy their 20s were and how it was a roller coaster for them too. And they all moved out to LA broke as a joke and scared and confused. And now they have peace and they're living their dreams and it looks totally different than what they had anticipated. Right. But they're grateful for the journey and they're just humble, generous people who like care about their families and pour into the relationships around them. And I was like, I don't know where I'm going with my life, but I would like to look like that. Like I want to look like these people. And I have a lot of people who I look up to in that regard, like the Manskys, who are the restaurant owners of Republique. They've got 6 other restaurants in LA and then 17 in the Philippines. And they excuse me. I know. Okay. It's an empire. I know. And they just won their first Michelin star this year. And Marge is up for James Beard Awards for her pastries like every James year. Beard. I'm telling you. That's a high esteem. Oh my God. They're literally the coolest. And yet they tuck their kids into bed every night. And like they prioritize their marriage and they get them off to school every day. And like they're with them and they're so normal. And I'm just like, how is this real life? Like, how do you do this?
Do you think that God blesses them because they keep those things important at the center, like family and staying grounded?
I would love to say that I know why God blesses people and why he does not. Yeah. I think we're all blessed, right? But I have no clue. I think that they learned the hard way. I think they learned how to keep things loosely and then steward the things that God blesses them with.
Right, yeah. That's what I was thinking too. I've seen people like that where, whatever they touch, as Bill Johnson likes to say, whatever their hands touch, it turns to gold. Yeah. It always succeeds and does well. But at the same time, they're the most amazing people you'll ever meet, or they're very grounded. Yeah. In spite of the millions or whatever they have. Yes. The levels of success. They're still pretty grounded, and inspiring people,
How? Were they born like that?
I don't know. Some people are. I think some people are born into wealth in a sense, like physical wealth. Sure. But, I think that the mental wealth is learned through experience over time.
That's really good.
Because there's some people who have a lot of money, but they don't know. For instance, like my buddy worked as a PR agent. Yeah. And not just PR. Before PR, he actually worked as a sports agent. And he worked with ESPN. Okay. So he had a lot of NFLers, basketball clients and stuff. But it was sad at the same time because, when I started working with him, he would tell me the stories how guys had, $100 million contracts, $70 million contracts, and they were broke he said they were always broke within 5 to 7 years, which is insane because that's money that most of us will never see in one lifetime.
Yeah.
They get it in one contract.
Yeah.
And then they blow it because they don't know how to.
Yeah.
So I think wealth is also a mindset.
Totally.
And they're tools. They're the book of Proverbs. They're these like, proverbs to live by. You live your life by.
Yes.
And so those are the people who can take wealth and increase it.
Yeah.
And so I knew somebody like that. He's the guy that Bill Johnson would say, whatever his hand touched turns to gold.
Who is it?
I won't say it on here.
Sorry.
Remain anonymous. But when I met him, he was just an incredible guy. I did work for him on his property and delivering old 100-something-year-old heirloom pianos and in his family. And then he built like music cabins up on these hills. It was really cool. It was really fascinating. But at the end of the day, he was always like, "Oh, what are your dreams?" Or I was like, "Oh no, I just want to do the work and get out of your way and let you enjoy all this." And but he always wanted to know, like, what are your dreams? What's your heart? What are you passionate about?
That's the people.
He was a very grounded guy. So I always find that fascinating when you meet some of those people that God truly blessed. He's also just loves the Lord. He funds things in the body of Christ.
Come on.
Like just willingly gives.
Come on.
So there is something to that where I noticed that all those guys they love to give. Yeah. And then they always live by some sort of proverbs and wisdom, even if you have it, you don't spend like you have 100 million. You're kind of,
oh my gosh. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. So those are things I've observed and I always wonder too. I don't know it all. Of course, if I knew it all, I would be even more successful. But I just love watching people really, I guess, like live well. Mm-hmm. And
that's such a good way of putting that.
Yeah, like they didn't let the success change them.
Correct.
And it sounds like your mentors, they are exactly that. They still tuck their kids at night. They still do all the things that bring them joy and happiness.
Yes.
Their life isn't centered around money, even though they had success. Totally. It's almost like God's like, I know this is not going. You're not going to let this affect you, so I'm going to bless you with the more.
Come on.
And who knows what they do in secret? They probably give a lot. They're probably highly charitable.
100%. I am confident there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like the people that I've seen with the more, they've always been highly charitable. Like even in Jewish culture, they always talk about tzedakah. Yeah. And it's always giving. It's about giving, finding a cause, finding a widower. Yeah. And giving to the widow. And her kids and so there's always about this charity thing about giving, and committing to giving. Yes. So that's a whole nother level when you commit to giving.
Oh, come on. Yeah. Dang.
Yeah.
That's so good. So that's literally what we decided to shoot a show about. Yeah. We had more and more people, more and more confirmations left and right, random people calling me, I think you're supposed to do a TV show. Mm-hmm. Hey, have you thought about TV? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I'm just like, this is crazy.
Yeah, a lot of confirmation.
So much confirmation until finally I had one of my great friends. He was a friend of a friend at the time. His name's Adam Billingham. He's incredibly talented and videographer, director, great at what he does, but just trying to figure it out like the rest of us. Mm-hmm. He calls one day and says, "Hey, have you ever thought about doing TV?" And I was like, where does everyone keep coming from this?
You got the juice, girl.
You got the juice. So I was like, recently, And he's like, well, I just got all of this TV show equipment for an unscripted series. And your name came to mind. Do you want to shoot this show? Like, whatever you want to shoot, I'm here for you. I was like, get the heck out of here. So finally I went on a walk with the Lord, and I felt like he was saying, write what you know. And I was like, here's what I know. I know what it's like to be really anxious, very depressed, and very scared in my 20s, broke in LA, trying to figure out like how to follow the Lord and how to like live out my calling in a healthy and sustainable way. I don't know how to do that. And I would like to know how to do that. And the word thriving popped into my head. And that's a word I would use to describe people that I really look up to, who I want to look like. They're thriving in their life in every area. And I'm just like, okay, cool, thriving. I'm going to go. I've had these great conversations with these people that I admire, and I come home and I tell my roommates about them, and people seem lit up like, oh, that's possible. I'm like, I didn't know that kind of wealth existed, or I didn't know that kind of tool existed, or I'm glad to know I'm not an insane person for feeling scared or anxious in my 20s and not having it all figured out. It's helpful for me to hear somebody who I look up to laugh when I say, like, I got my 4th parking ticket this week. Okay. It's helpful for me to not feel shame and like guilt of like, how did I not get that right? Instead have somebody just like, you're going to be fine. Like, you're going to be okay. So how can I receive that message for myself and then pour it out? And so that's where the show came from. It's thriving. I get to go interview these people who I admire and look up to, who have balanced life well, and we hang out with them. We shot a pilot episode in September, and we hung out with the Manskys, the owner of the restaurants, for 4 days, 3.5 days. Yeah,
I saw a little video clip where you guys are scooping this like orange stuff.
It was so awesome.
What was that? Was that like a mango cream or something?
We did so many things. We went to all of their restaurants. They get their produce from the farmer's market. And so we went to the farmer's market with Walter, and we were like tasting all these weird stuff and like eating raw broccoli and like trying an olive raw. I don't know if you've ever done that. It's disgusting.
Yeah, it's not as good as the fermented.
What? Yeah. I didn't know there was a difference.
Oh, there's a major difference.
Oh, there's such a difference, bro. No. Yeah. So yeah, we went to the farmer's market with them, and oh my gosh, the thing that we were scooping, you're not going to believe this. That's butter. That was a mountain of butter. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I was like, it looks like some sort of ice cream.
I know. It's at the one that they won their Michelin star for. They have this butter cart that you push into and around all of the tables. And it's this mountain of Normandy butter. And it is the greatest butter on the face of the earth. They get it flown in from France at like perfectly chilled temperature.
The French know about butter, man.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh my God. It's so good. Whoa. And so they take that spoon and then they put it like perfectly on your plate. And you take their fresh baguette and you crack it open and the steam's everywhere. Oof. It's like another level.
Help me,
it's
Jesus.
Another
Help
level.
me right now.
It's so good.
Dude, butter and bread.
Okay, next cheat meal, we're going to Republic. Please.
Sounds like it needs to be experienced.
It's got to be experienced. It was remarkable. It was so fun. And so they just opened up Mansky, which is their biggest tasting menu. Their only tasting menu restaurant that they've ever done. And I think it felt like we did like 17 courses. March is from the Philippines originally, and Walter's from San Diego. And they just like blended this beautiful expression of both of their cultures together in this like tangible and approachable tasting menu. Normally, when you sit down for a Michelin star, you feel like you can't really sit in the chair. It's like everything is so proper and like I don't want to touch anything. But this one, it's like the first course was a potato chip and some delicious little dip with caviar in it. And I'm from the Midwest. I grew up watching football and eating snacks every Sunday after church. And so when I first took a bite of it, I'm not like a cultured food critic whatsoever. Yeah. But I was like, this tastes like some really good French onion dip from the packet, but way better, you know? And they were like laughing.
How dare you compare it to a packet?
So I was like, I can't say this out loud. And they both started laughing because they were like, that is the point. The game is about to begin. Like, we want your chip and dip experience. And I'm like laughing like, I might know a little thing or two about some food, I guess.
I might not know about Michelin star, but I know about some chip and dip.
I know some French onion dip. Oh my God, it was so good. I just had so much buffalo dip for the Super Bowl. I think I had like 3 different kinds on Sunday.
Are you excited? I mean, your team pulled through. They did what nobody said they would do.
It's so amazing. Mahomes, my guy.
Yeah, he really did.
Destroyed it. I don't know if you'll ever see this podcast, but if you do,
Yeah, messed up ankle and all.
I know.
I just was like,
oh my God,
I was a little nervous, but I said when he went running back into the locker room, I looked at Maurice. He gonna be all right.
He's gonna be fine.
They already massaged that ankle good enough for him to run, like trot back to the locker room for that halftime show. And so then I was like, they're going to sit him on the bed and then they're going to stick him with cortisol shots.
100%.
So he's not going to feel hardly anything.
He's going to be numbed out, beaten with the Lord while he plays this game and brings it home. It was great.
Yeah. So
it's great.
That was amazing. And that really made me think of Bob Jones' prophecy that when the Chiefs win, it was a sign that the Chiefs and the generals of the body of Christ will begin to rise.
Bob Jones prophesied
years ago when he was alive. Yeah.
Are you joking? Wait, can you say that one more time?
It was something, I'm paraphrasing, but it was something to the degree that the chiefs and like prophets and apostles of this and the body of Christ will begin to arise again.
I'm going to throw up.
Yeah. And so he said
that's crazy.
The first sign came when they beat the 49ers, but then they turn around here years later and won again.
Yeah.
And so I thought about that and looked over at Marie and told her, I said, Bob Jones prophesied that this would happen. And so I went on Facebook that night and people started posting it again. Like, remember when Bob Jones said it? Like,
stop it. Wow. Do you see that happening in the world right now? You can say no if you don't. But
I don't because I'm in LA. That's my world. So it's not very.
That is the most accurate and painful thing I've ever heard.
As a Christian, you have to kind of get outside of LA to see. But the cool thing is, I do think God has people like us here for a reason.
Wow.
Because, it's not popular to be a Christian in LA,
Correct.
And there's not as many churches as there is in the South or like Midwest or, where it's ingrained in the culture, like a Bible Belt. But I do see God doing things here in our city. And I know friends who are leading certain church Bible study groups where celebrities and actors and things are attending those. So they feel more comfortable with that.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Rather than like, oh, let me show up at church, sit in the front row, and everybody starts trying to take pictures with me and try to, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so I've actually I had the privilege of, working as an actor myself, having lunch with a few other actors and talking with them and even meeting talking with Terry Crews about some of that stuff.
Come on.
And just hearing their hearts on that, it was like, okay, this makes sense.
Yeah.
So there is a movement happening where I think, there are people who you'd be surprised. They're like, oh yeah, that person knows the Lord.
Come on.
They just don't, maybe they're not advertising it because the world they live in is it's kind of frowned upon. But
totally.
I mean, Denzel's pretty forthcoming. Terry Crews is pretty forthcoming about his faith.
Yeah.
There are some people out there who just are unashamed of the gospel.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But I think there's something happening here. We got Wells here, man. We got Azusa Street, man. We got the Jesus movement here in Orange County.
Yes.
All that happened here at Costa Mesa, Anaheim.
Let's go.
John Wimber, there's a lot of rich history here. So I know that the Lord is going to do it again.
Come on.
I think it's just going to look different.
Yeah.
And we have to be prepared for that as a church.
Yeah.
We get used to systems, religious systems.
Yeah.
And we're not ready when God's like, oh, you didn't know I wasn't in that box anymore that you put me in like years ago? Yeah, I'm actually over here and I'm doing a new thing. You're like, a new thing? What do you mean?
What do you mean? Yep.
But when you moved before, it looked like this. She's like, well, now I'm moving in this way.
Wow.
So we just have to have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, what he's doing, how he's moving, where he is next, so.
Where's one of the most surprising places you've seen God moving lately?
Actually, I had Vintage Church on, and me and Manny, we went to Vintage Church and did the leadership team. Most leadership team, and so that was incredible.
Let's go.
We're gonna do a part 2, hopefully again.
Yes.
But that was really cool. I wanted to interview them because coming out of the pandemic, it's like Vintage Church had lost a lot of like members because people got up and packed up. They were gone. Mm-hmm. So it was like Nashville, Florida, you know,
so many Florida,
Oklahoma, you know, it was like everybody just left Texas. Even I was offered a job to Texas.
Wow.
You know, and so we had lost a lot of people, but then all of a sudden when they released everybody to meet again in person in churches, it was packed.
Wow.
And it was like, I think when I talked to Gary, he was like, man, it's crazy because all our friends are gone. But he was like, it's like we're starting all over, but then there's this whole new hunger at the same time. And he was like, dude, like 98% of our congregation don't even really know Jesus like that.
Wow.
Everybody was showing up in the sanctuary because they were just hungry.
What?
And that blew my mind.
That's so cool.
That blew my mind. I was like, 98%.
Stop.
And I was looking out there.
Best.
Yeah, because it was packed all the way to the rafters. And I was thinking, are you saying most of these people don't even, they were just desperate. They were coming out of their homes like, look, I need to know who this God is. And I did notice a shift in the church where people were coming up to the front and crying out.
Come on.
Like they dropped down in front of the stage and were crying. So then some of the prayer servants had to get down on their knees and get down on the ground with them.
Come on.
And so I thought, whoa.
Yeah.
That is new. That's different.
Yes.
And in a culture like Santa Monica, it's a very wealthy, successful culture. These people have a certain way of life that they're accustomed to. And it's about efficiency. You know, services have to be timed a certain way. You know? And this time it wasn't about that. People were just hungry. They're desperate. They were showing up to the Alpha meetings. And at the same time I was experiencing that, I was also a part of like just attending Anaheim Vineyard. At the time now it's called Dwelling Place here in Anaheim. And the same thing, I experienced that where I ended up at the front on my knees crying out to the Lord. I tore my pants and I didn't care. I blew the biggest hole in my pants. I mean, I got done like a shotgun went off. It was just my pants just bursting.
With my heart and soul before
I literally I was just like crying. I was pow. It was like a gunshot, you know? And I looked down, I was like, what was it? I felt all the wind.
No.
Like you got cold down there.
Oh, God.
You look down, you're like, oh, Lord Jesus. I was like, oh, what do I do? Should I get up now? And then I was just like, he's like, oh, just take it all in. So I laid there even more and just got rocked.
Come on.
And God is just showing up in this community in Orange County too.
Let's go.
And I went to a meeting in Santa Ana with successful businessmen who love the Lord. And they were all sharing their testimonies, how God's moving in their communities in Orange County.
Come on.
So I began to pick it up and go, God is getting ready to do a big move in several communities from LA to Orange County. I think something big is coming. It's just he's preparing his people.
Come on.
And that takes time sometimes, you know, because it takes time for you know what I mean? Like, he has grace with us, but I think it just takes time, and he also has to find the right people to foster that move of God, because I think it is going to look different. You know, one of the questions I asked Pastor Gare was like, do you think evangelism's dead? Or has it taken on a new form and a face?
Whoa.
And he said, oh, it's very much not dead. He said, it just looks different. The traditional go out to the street corner and stand on a soapbox is not going to work. But you invite a person, a friend of a friend to Alpha, then now we're talking about, you know, deeper things.
Come on.
You know, and that's what's happened at Alpha. I went to another church in Redondo Beach, and their Alpha did really well.
Wow.
Santa Monica's Alpha's exploding.
Come on.
And we're talking about atheists are showing up. There was a testimony of atheists got so impacted by Alpha, they asked could they start their own Alpha group. And then they invited all their atheist friends. And then they asked could they teach the Bible to the atheist friends. And you know, Pastor John was like, can we do that? Is that like okay? And Gary said, just let them go with it, man. Yeah. So they ended up bringing atheist friends to church, and then I guess you could say they're believers now.
That's amazing.
So when I see that, you can't help but to realize, okay, God is up to something.
Yes.
I don't know what fully yet, you know,
neither.
but we're just along for the ride.
Correct.
And I hope that I can play my part.
Yeah, let's go.
As best as I can.
Yes.
Because it's not about one person. It's about the body of Christ.
Yeah,
like surrendering to his will.
Oh my gosh, that's so freaking good.
Mm-hmm.